Everybody, welcome to this video in which we're going to be discussing how you can find a designated prescribing practitioner in the beautiful city of Oxford. As always, thank you for all your comments and for subscribing, liking and sharing. Let's get into this video. Before we get into how you can find a designated prescribing practitioner in Oxford, I just want to define some terminology so you understand the video and it makes sense to you. A designated prescribing practitioner is also known as a DPP. That's the acronym. Traditionally, it was known as a DMP or a designated medical practitioner. This was because at the time, only doctors and dentists could take on this role. And we'll be discussing this role later on. If you're a nurse, you're going to know this role as a PA or a practice assessor. So now that that's out of the way, a couple more points to mention. This role is relevant when you want to undertake the independent prescribing course. Again, that's also known as the IP course or the non-medical prescribing course, and nurses might know it as the V300 course. I'm not sure where V300 came from, but I think that was just the code that was used for this particular code or this particular course itself. So with that out of the way, now that everything makes sense, who can undertake this course and what is this course? So pharmacists, nurses, dietitians, radiographers, physiotherapists, podiatrists, and other healthcare professionals are allowed to undertake this course, are eligible to undertake this course. If you're a beautician and you're not part of this regulated healthcare professional, you're not able to undertake this course. So what is this course? It's a 6-month course, at the end of which you will have the annotation as an IP or an independent prescriber, and then you can legally prescribe medication within your competence. That's the key thing to remember, and that needs to be really highlighted. You're prescribing within your competence. So that means once you've gained your qualification, you can, in theory, expand your expertise or competence, but you are gaining your training in an area that you're already competent in. That means if you're a pharmacist, you need to ask yourself, which condition can I diagnose, manage, and treat at the moment? Whether that's with over-the-counter medication, whether that means referring to a GP, which condition do I know very well that I have experience in? And not theoretical experience, actually seeing patients, seeing cases, referring to GPs or another healthcare professional, liaising with another healthcare professional is something you have experience in. It is not a course that you undertake to develop your competency in. For example, a community pharmacist, you see a lot of ENT cases with pharmacy first. You see skin conditions, but something like diabetes, how much of a role do you play in diabetes? Other than perhaps doing a fasting blood glucose check, you're not actively involved for screening for other metabolic conditions, for example, looking for cholesterol issues, if they've got hypertension, if they've got end organ damage or issues with nerves and so on. So that might not be a condition that you're already competent in. On the flip side, if you work in general practice, you're seeing chronic cases, for example, asthma. You're actively doing spirometry or reviewing asthma cases or reviewing medication and seeing patients. You might say, I'm comfortable with asthma. The only thing I'm not doing is writing the physical prescription, but I'm making recommendations to a GP. I'm reviewing patients. I'm altering the medication, but finally the GP prescribes. So it's worth me getting my prescribing qualification. So if you're a pharmacist, consider ENT-related conditions. Consider dermatology. A lot of pharmacists get in touch and say we want to do weight loss. Again, have a look at the obesity competency framework. You cannot just start to prescribe for weight loss by just following a PGD. You really need to understand obesity and how you can find out if you're competent. Do a search on Google, type in asthma competency framework. Read it and see, can you evidence yourself against this competency framework? Weight loss competency framework, epilepsy competency framework, diabetes competency framework. Read it, have a look and say, actually, yes, I can evidence myself across. If you can, then that can be your scope of practice. Fairly straightforward. Nurses, on the other hand, similar. Have a look at where you're working. If you're working in general practice, you'll have a wide range of skill set that you can apply. If you're working in hospital, again, you'll have a wide range of skills you can apply. The key thing for nurses is you need a practice assessor and a practice supervisor. Very important. Practice assessor and a practice supervisor. So it's a 6-month course. You choose an area that you're competent in. You have to then find a university that is essentially accredited by your regulatory body. So nurses, have a look at the NMC. Pharmacists, have a look at the GPHC website. Find accredited courses. Once you've chosen your scope of practice, you found the university, and there's different types of ways in which this course is delivered. We have online, we have hybrid models where there's a mix of online and face-to-face and purely face-to-face. Some courses offer a 4-month accelerated course, for example, Manchester University, but it's very intense, keep that in mind. 6-month course, choose your scope of practice, find a university that's accredited by your regulatory body. Then you have to find a DPP. What is a DPP? Who can act as a DPP? How do you find a DPP? And the focus is finding a DPP in Oxford. So finding a DPP in Oxford, first of all, what is a DPP? This is essentially an individual or a prescriber who's been qualified for 3 years, understands your scope of practice, actively prescribes in your scope of practice, is able to evidence themselves across the DPP competency framework designed by the RPS. So they need to be able to make sure that they can do everything or meet the checklist on the RPS DPP competency framework. They can then act as essentially your mentor, your supervisor, even your examiner. Because the role of the DPP is to ensure that you are competent and you have the skills, knowledge, and behaviors required to meet the learning outcomes or what you should be able to do at the end of the course. And this is assessed by the university and the DPP. Can a pharmacist act as a DPP? Yes, if they've been qualified for 3 years. Yes, if they have the experience in teaching and training. Yes, if they can evidence themselves against the DPP competency framework. Should a pharmacist act as a DPP? That's a decision for you to make, but I would recommend, if you are going to choose a DPP, number 1, make sure that they've taught your profession before. Number 2, they can evidence themselves across the DPP competency framework. Number 3, they've been prescribing actively for 3 years, and you and the DPP have a clear structure in place on how they're going to support you throughout the course itself and after you qualify. So now that you know what this DPP is, you know who can act as a DPP, how do we find a DPP in Oxford? First of all, what you can do is search your contacts. Open up your phone, speak to family, friends, professionals, contacts that you have, and ask them, do you know anybody that can act as a DPP, or have you an experience with someone who can act as a DPP? Get some feedback. If that doesn't work, get in touch with local university hospitals. In Oxford, we have the John Radcliffe Hospitals, we have even Oxford University, you can even speak with Brookes University. There are plenty of hospitals and universities that you can get in touch with and ask, do you know any GPs or doctors or prescribers that can help in my course? Could even be nurse. You've tried hospitals, no luck. You've tried universities, no luck. Get in contact with your local PCN. Get in touch with them. Get in contact with the LPC for Oxford. Very useful, very friendly. Get in touch with the LPC. And this is more for pharmacists. Nurses for you, hospitals, your university, for example, Brookes University, do the V300 course, also the independent prescribing course. Within where you're working, make sure you speak to them. Let's say you've tried this and you've looked up your phone book, you don't find any luck. What options do you have? The local ICB, get in touch with them. If that doesn't work, options other include LinkedIn, and I think that's an absolutely goldmine, an absolutely godsend, because LinkedIn gives you access to not only prescribers, but within your locality. Get onto LinkedIn, set up a profile, introduce yourself, make connections. It's fairly straightforward. Build your network. Let's say you've tried all of this from LinkedIn and you're not having any luck, or perhaps you've had luck, but it's not the right individual. Or maybe you need more than just finding a DPP. Maybe you need support on the course. Maybe you need support after you qualify. Maybe you're not too sure how to get into university. Then get in touch with us at MEDLRN. More than happy to help you, more than happy to support you from start to finish, to handhold you through this journey, to make sure not only do you gain your prescribing qualification, not only do you meet the learning outcomes, but you are competent and you have the skills, knowledge and behaviors to be able to safely prescribe, diagnose and treat, that's the key thing. In terms of the course itself, Brookes University offer a course in Oxford. Online courses are offered by Salford University, Bath University, amongst others. As mentioned, it's a 6-month course. And once you found your DPP in Oxford, the key thing is it's 6 months. You need 90 hours of supervision, also known as learning and practice. And in this, you need to make sure that you're actively involved in seeing patients, doing case-based discussions, diagnosing, treating, reflecting on your practice, writing up your case studies, and you may have to also write an essay as well. Also, one of the requirements is some universities expect you to do an exam, and that can be pharmacology, calculations, and around the legalities of prescribing itself. So the law around prescribing. To get the best out of the course, make sure you're prepared, understand what's required in the course itself, speak to your colleagues and peers, find the right team to support you and supervise you. Absolutely, you can make a difference. I hope you found this video useful. If you want to develop your skill set or you're struggling to find a DPP in Oxford, get in touch with us at MEDLRN. More than happy to help. Thank you for watching. Everybody, welcome to this video in which we're going to be discussing how you can find a designated prescribing practitioner in the beautiful city of Oxford. As always, thank you for all your comments and for subscribing, liking and sharing. Let's get into this video.